I'm fucking ready.
Ooh,
I just did an ice bath, just did sun, just did a little outdoor workout a little bit. I feel good.
wow. You're making me feel unprepared, although I did just do a workout.
Nice. What did you do?
I actually joined a new gym a couple of blocks away. So just went down there, just did a quick I actually ran over there, did a quick workout and then came back here.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. Um yeah, you've been doing the ice baths a lot. What's your schedule been with that?
I would say it's been on average about every other day since
Damn.
getting it a few weeks ago. I had a streak of like 4 days in a row that felt pretty good. But then I didn't do it for the last like maybe 3 days. Just did it like an hour ago. So I don't. That's the interesting thing about ice baths is there's not really an accepted protocol yet. Like
Yeah.
nobody knows, what's the right duration, what's the optimal temperature, what's the optimal frequency. It doesn't really seem like there's any real data around that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of just going by feel.
You know what I think is not the right frequency is like 5 times a day. Like,
Yeah. Well, you definitely get a stress response from it. Like I
right.
think you could argue, and I think this would be valid, that your metabolic rate decreases from an ice bath overall. Like it increases in the short term, but then it can kind of put your body into a more like a survival sort of mode, kind of like what happens in the winter. Like you can pack on weight because you need it for survival.
Mm.
So I definitely think you can definitely overdo it. That's for sure. And you can definitely stay in there too long too and just get full on hypothermia. That can definitely happen. So trying to figure out the right sort of temperature, duration, and frequency. But right now it's sort of, at least so far, it's been in the 45 to 48 degree range for 3 to 4 minutes,
Wow.
roughly every other day.
That's uh that's impressive to me. Yeah, the most I've done is
Dude,
a minute and a half.
was that like proper freezing though? Like, was it with ice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have still not done that because I can regulate the temperature to just exactly where I want. So that was probably actually, I mean, it was definitely pretty much as cold as it can get if you were in ice,
Yeah, dude,
like pretty
honestly,
damn close to 32.
yeah, I would do it at 45 or whatever you said because I think you get most of the benefit from not having it be, oh, it's like 32.001, so it's still water, but it's just like
You
the
might get more benefit.
yeah, man, it's like people always want to just one up the next
Yeah.
person. And like I just it's like motherfucker like you're doing an ice bath. Like that gets you
Dude,
most of the
that's
benefit.
that was 100% the energy over here. Like the first like
Yeah.
1 or 2 weeks of doing it, it's like 2.5 minutes, like fucking pussy. Like you have to go at least three. Oh, you're
Yeah.
using a towel? No, you have to fucking stand in the sun until you dry. But I think those things make it harder and it's kind of fun. But
Yeah.
I think that in terms of like a beneficial therapeutic sort of thing, probably not ideal. Though, dude, on the hot day, like drying like that, awesome. That's what I did right now. What was I gonna say about that? Yeah. Oh, it gets so much easier. It gets so much easier after you've done it maybe 3 times. Like the first time I went in it with like no guidelines, right? Like just get in. And so my breathing was like super stressed and I just like let that go out of control. Like I wasn't even thinking about trying to control the breath. Like I was just in there. But then by the second or third time I was like, going in there with the intent of controlling the breath and catching it and doing long exhales and controlled inhales and stuff like that. And honestly, I would say by like the fourth, maybe even the third time, but definitely by the fourth time, within the first 10 seconds can like really settle into a controlled breath and then just chill.
Hmm. It's interesting
Like you get
how
used to
yeah, it's like people think it's funny when people say, "Oh, I don't like cold water."
it. Like how so? Like in what like it
It's like no, like if you were to get in and then to start breathing, you would like it. It's just you don't like
yeah.
that moment where something feels off. And somehow, even like today, I woke up, I actually like slept really well according to my aura, but I woke up feeling kind of sluggish, and I was in the shower and I turned it to cold, and part of me was thinking that my body can't doesn't want this right now. It's just like I just need to rest. But then so I
Yeah.
turned it back to hot, and then I turned it back to cold, and I kind of got into it after a certain time, and then I left it on cold for like 2 3 minutes, and after that I was like, oh, like I'm
Exactly.
so in it right now, and I can just feel the inflammation going down everywhere.
Yeah, with the cold shower or with the ice bath, you never regret it. You're never like, ah, I wish I hadn't done that. But there's a lot of hesitation and, turning the knob, or especially with the ice bath, because you have to physically sit down into that
Oh my God,
water
yeah.
yourself. Like, you have to choose. And there's this moment in the first 1 second where time seems to dilate for till to 10 seconds, and you're thinking, how am I, like, I'm at second zero. Like, I just got in and I'm at second zero. Like, there's no saying, oh, I'm almost done, or like you're halfway there. It's like,
Yeah,
dude, you're at like second point five, and you're about to be in this water for 3 minutes, and there's just this, oh shit, I have to deal with this. I have to deal with it.
yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, but you really do feel like the lack of information. Like, even in areas of, like, this isn't even my intended use of it, but my wrist would hurt and stuff. Like, I would try to do like push-ups regularly, and then I would have this like wrist that would be hurting, so then I'd always stop doing push-ups. And I swear, like, if I've done the ice bath within the last like 2 days, there's just zero pain in my wrist no matter what. Like, it just seems to solve all that stuff. Or if I have a lot of tension in like my head or my back, like, sinking that into the water feels so good, and you really do start to crave the cold. Like, it is enjoyable.
Damn. You're selling me on it. Yeah.
You got to get one.
Yeah. I'm too mobile right now. I can't just like I don't
I'll
want
get
to.
the portable ice bath. You,
Yeah, dude.
there.
There's already like my car still has the back row and half of the trunk filled with boxes from when I moved from LA almost a year ago. And I'm
Mm.
realizing like every time I want to move, I have to lug all this stuff. And I'm for the first time, I don't have any furniture, really, for the first time in a while. So
Nice.
I don't want to have to like put an ice pack on my back and just like lug it
Yeah.
across town.
You're like a traveling nomad with like a backpack and like a trailer with an ice bath on
You just put the backpack on the ground and you open an app and press a button, and it slowly like deflates almost like foam into just a full ice bath filled with ice water.
it. Dude, what if you could just have a truck bed that was an ice bath? It would just be like a traveling house slash ice bath.
That, except for sanitary concerns, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's true. It would be, you need like, I mean, you would need to have it all cleaned out. You need to get like a proper lid. It would be like a freezer just built into a truck,
It would
which I
be
guess
really
already
cool
exists.
if it was like if you could like drive somewhere during it, but then again, you probably wouldn't want to just because you'd want to get out after a few minutes. So, yeah, ice baths are, it's hard to make it an experience just because you don't want to focus on anything except for just being in there
Which is the ultimate experience.
for sure.
It's such an experience. Like, dude, when I'm in there and I'll just like look straight ahead at just the view and like kind of the horizon, and I swear, like, my visual acuity just gets insane. Like, you are so there. You have no other choice but to be extremely there.
Yeah.
I'm definitely super hyped on ice bath right now. I mean, and it's so like, I feel like people are so intrigued by it. They're like, why are you doing that? And like, what is happening? But the ultimate will be having ice bath and sauna. Really want to find a sauna and then
Yeah.
be able to hop back and forth from ice to hot to ice to hot. But I really want to get a dry sauna. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the infrared just doesn't quite do it for me. So that makes it more difficult.
Just because there's not as much science behind it.
I think there's that. I think yeah, the research is mainly behind dry sauna. I just feel a little odd about infrared. Just it's a lot of electronics and weird
Yeah.
stuff I don't fully understand necessarily, but also just in the actual experience. Like, granted, I've only really done one infrared sauna, but I was shocked at how not hot it got. Like it takes so much longer to even start breaking a sweat for me. At least in the one that I did, it was like struggling to get above. It was set to 158, but it was
Yeah.
only reaching 153 or 154. And I don't know. I mean, that's hot. Don't get me wrong, but I think maybe something to do with just how that technology works. It didn't. It took me like 12 minutes to even start sweating. It's weird.
Yeah, that's what happens for me. So I'll generally do the infrared saunas for 30 minutes at a time at about that temperature. And yeah,
Yeah.
generally maybe like between maybe around 10 minutes I'll start and then by 12 I'll like actually be sweating.
Yeah.
Um and but then by like 15 I'm like drenched and then
Yeah.
the last 15 of it I'm just like sweating a lot and then by 30 it feels like I've kind of challenged myself, but not a crazy amount because I see it as rest, not like a workout.
Yeah, totally. I think if you stay in there for that long, then it becomes the same experience. Like minute 15 through 30 in the infrared is probably basically equivalent to minutes 0 through 15 in the dry
Yeah.
sauna. At least it feels that way.
Good for you,
But
man. I honestly I would want a dry sauna if I could choose, but where I'm at is that there's this place like 15 minutes from me that I can get like a private room and it has a TV in front of the sauna and it's like I don't know, it ends up being like only like $15 a time and
yeah.
um I'll just go there for a bit. So,
No, that's a pretty sweet setup. Definitely nothing wrong with that. I just realized my audio level is a little off. One sec.
yeah, go
Should
for
have
it.
should have realized that sooner. I guess if I change it now, though, that'll throw up everything I do later. But all good.
Yeah.
Um,
People can just
yeah, no, I mean that's awesome that you're doing it regularly. I mean that's really the key. That's why I want it in my backyard, like to just be able to pop out,
yeah.
do it all the time. That's like really kind of my only dream as far as a living situation is just have access to all this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and got a surprising amount of it right now, but the sauna would really complete it. But I mean, similar to you, like I don't want to get too locked in one place or like we might only be in this particular space until like May potentially. So
Mhm.
that's kind of why I'm like, do we even bother with it? Plus, they're really expensive, hard to move, like
Yeah.
huge, all that type of stuff. But someday I'll get one of those barrel saunas. That'd be fucking badass.
Yeah, man. You don't want to be in a situation in May where you have to lug us on all the way to Austin.
I'm planting this seed again. Are we
Whew.
cracking open that conversation? You're over there like writing the podcast show notes already. It's like Matt and Sam talk about ice bath, sauna, moving to Austin.
I'm reading Robert Greene's 50 Laws of Power and all the stuff about persuasion, and I'm only applying it to getting you to move to Austin. No, I haven't read that book. But
Yeah.
I once read the table of contents to that book, and look, I'm not saying whether people should read that book, 50 Laws of Power, or not, but the table of contents to that book sound so manipulative, which is
Mm.
what the book is about. The book is about manipulation. Um, and I was just like, I am not reading this, and I don't care if um, I don't care if it like sacrifices a skill or something.
Do
Dude,
you
literally,
remember any of them?
yeah, I can. Oh my God. I guess
Yeah, dude, pull up a list. Like, I'm curious about this.
it's kind of funny. Let me table of contents. Oh, um, yeah, Barnes and Noble has a table of contents. Oh yeah, they have all 48 laws. Law 2, never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Law 3, conceal your intentions. Law
Wait, what was law one?
oh, never outshine the master. So I'm just gonna go through and say the ones
And
that I.
he's the master, right? The author of the book is the
Well,
master.
no, he's saying like whoever is above you and never like.
No, I'm just joking because he's like laying out the laws of the universe to
Right.
you.
I'm gonna just read the ones that seem
Yeah.
kind of
Do it.
most fucked up. Law 4, always say less than necessary. Um,
Yeah, I'm already
law,
getting a vibe of like it's kind of all about
let me yeah.
staying sly and under the radar,
Let
right?
me go like through a couple of
Yeah.
them. Law 6, court attention at all cost. Law 7, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Um,
What?
Law 11, learn to keep people dependent on you. Law 12, use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Um, Law 14, pose as a friend, work as a spy. Law
Dude,
15, crush your enemies totally. Wow, we're not even halfway through. Um,
I'm already shocked. I can't believe this.
yeah, right. This is like a really popular book. Um,
I had no idea. Like, dude, that's ridiculous. Like that's unbelievable. I'm legitimately shocked that those are like what those laws are.
yeah. Oh God. Law 27, play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following.
Dude, holy shit. Those are ridiculous. I mean, they sound straight up evil. They sound like how to be a manipulative like undercover agent or how to like be the most egotistical person on the planet that has people bowing down to them and doing them favors and thinking that they're a genius and all that. That is
Yeah.
wild. I mean, though, I guess you could say the book is laying out the laws of power. It's not necessarily a how-to guide, or maybe it is, but it could be saying like these are the things that are used against you too. Like
Right.
this is what manipulative, powerful people do because this stuff
You're
works.
right. Yeah.
Like that makes sense that stuff works, but you would never. I bet you some people read that book thinking, "Oh, I need to do more of this and this and this and this." I don't know the intent behind it, but maybe you could still kind of gain something about how to read people or what to look out for or something along those
Oh, for
lines.
sure. Even reading that title, I'm like, oh, are people playing on my need to believe to make me a cult-like follower? Um, and
Yeah,
like
dude. I
just like
mean, the
random shit
brands do
like
that.
that, you know. So I
Yeah.
agree with what you're saying. Is like it's in order to not be manipulated, you have to understand how people may manipulate you. Otherwise, you're just gonna get taken advantage of. Um, but at the same time, I just read through that table of contents and was like, I'm not reading this book.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I have
Yeah,
noted like I'm not like itching to read it after hearing the
yeah,
table of contents. I just know he's so widely respected and generally seen as a really important author who thinks but like that's like kind of the general perception at least, but is that what it's all about? I don't know.
right. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same. I was also shocked when I read that table of contents for the first time.
Yeah, dude, I feel like everyone who has not read that book would be shocked by that.
Yeah, it's really kind of extreme sounding, but
Yeah.
yeah, like Ryan Holiday,
It's like first,
yeah,
murder your family.
yeah,
They're not on your side. You need to go.
like act in public as if you trust the people closest to you. In private, spy on their phone activities and make sure they haven't deceived you.
Oh my god, dude.
Like,
It sounds mega paranoid. It
yeah, it
sounds
sounds
like
paranoid.
some tweaker shit.
Yeah, man.
That is ridiculous. That's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, and you can see how somebody would,
Unexpected.
right? Again, like don't judge a book by the cover, but we're not. We're judging it by the table of contents, not the
Exactly.
cover, which is fine. Um, but you you can see how somebody could get really into it, especially if you already have kind of a mindset that bends you towards something, like maybe you've been hurt or maybe you've been taken advantage of. Then you find this book and you can just dive headfirst into it, and it would, if somebody didn't kind of see the bigger picture, maybe, then you could get a lot of meaning out of it, and you could be like, yeah, like everyone's out for themselves, and I'm just gonna do what's best for me. And there's a certain truth to that, but I think that, like, I'm trying to put my finger on like why it is that I didn't want to read it, because I was like, part of me was like, just read it, like it's a popular book. You can't know what's in it until you read it, and also maybe you'll stop yourself from being manipulated. And I was like, you know what? Like, I think I just have some sort of sense when something doesn't feel right around me, and I would rather just go off that than 48 specific laws.
Totally. I think there's most definitely, I'm sure, some truths in there, but I think what we are not feeling about it is that it's such a negative worldview. It's so pessimistic. Like, you can say things that are negative that are true. You can be like, well, most people fucking suck. And it's like, well, yeah, they sure do. It's like, but that's just a shitty outlook of life, you know? Like,
if you walk around thinking that most people suck, then you're gonna find that to be true.
Yeah. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. That type of mentality.
Yeah.
It's just dude,
my favorite.
Don't kill my vibe.
Yeah, dude. Or like when people buy a stock or Bitcoin and then it drops like 20%, they'll be like, of course it drops right after I bought it. It's like, motherfucker, like, I don't know if I said this before on the podcast, but do you think that the stock gives a fuck that you bought it? Do you think that the universe is oriented in a way to coordinate stock drops right after you've gotten in?
100% not, but it can feel that way. It can feel that way, but I would hope people don't actually think that they are causing it to drop. But yeah, it is weird how I've been guilty of that. I think we talked about it a little in the sense of like, I have felt unlucky with it before, but I'm working on it.
You're pretty lucky with Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've, with some of the stuff me and you were doing with the trades, definitely have won some and given some back too, but that's fine. But overall, everything is fucking, like, holy shit, Bitcoin. Unbelievable.
Dude, I mean, must be
not unbelievable. Completely. But, yeah. I mean, I was buying... I don't know. I probably bought most of what I'm owning right now in like the 10K range ish. So doing well.
Nice.
But like, yeah, I'm just so bullish on it right now. I mean, dude, last night was wild. I started to think like, what if it hits 20K tonight, dude? When it really rips, it rips,
Yeah, man. It runs, and I mean, right now, I think people might look at the technical analysis and say, oh, well, there's resistance to go through. We're still going to drop back for a time, which is certainly possible. But I think about the other possibility, which is that everybody realizes that we're going to go through all-time highs, and it's like musical chairs almost, and the music has stopped at this point. And everyone's like, all right, I got to find a chair. I got to except finding a chair is a little bit more complicated to buy Bitcoin than to actually just find a chair during musical chairs. But so it still takes some time. Whereas it's interesting, if you look at the 5-year chart, it looks like it actually just like spiked up like 50% in a moment, where it didn't happen in a moment. It happened over like a few weeks, but it just gets compressed so much. But yeah, I don't know what'll happen next, but I'm pretty sure that we'll be at all-time highs pretty soon.
I think so too. I would definitely take that bet. We both are taking that bet.
Yeah.
I think, the more I reflect back on late 2017, like whether it hit 20K or whatever was just, it really was a blip, like there were literally days where it was going up by several thousand within one day. And that was in 2017.
Yeah.
So just think about what could happen now when real money is in it. And also, I've been thinking is like, the more people say like, oh, well, it crashed in 2017, like that is driving me crazy lately because it actually never, I feel like nothing ever really crashed. It just spiraled out of control upwards in hype and FOMO for like 4 days. And that was how it hit 20K. If you just like remove those like 3 days, dude, we should do this actually. I bet the graph would look really interesting if you just like removed a week, like the right week, like the week.
Highs.
We'd be at all-time highs, and it wouldn't look. It would just look a lot more linear, I think, over time. Like also, it wouldn't look like, oh, there was this huge spike and then this huge drop and then this climb. It would just be like, oh, like of course.
Yeah, man. It crashed up, not down.
Yeah, dude. It that was. I don't think it was a crash. It was just people were buying that had no clue what it even was.
Well, it wasn't.
And I don't think that's happening yet.
It wasn't a crash, and to say that it crashed is just to buy into this like mainstream narrative that doesn't make much sense at all if you even take one look at it. Which the reason I say that is because if it went from 20K to 3K, you're right, it was a huge crash. Oh wait, sorry, there's more to the story. It was at 200 a year before. Nobody really tells you about that part, do they? So it went from 200 to 3,000 with a pit stop at 20,000. Did it crash? People can say what they want.
Exactly. Like that was a crash up. And it was such a brief period of time. Like it's not like it was hanging out at 20K for like a year and then crashed. It like poked it for like a minute and then went back down. It's ridiculous.
That's the thing about investing is like it's just obvious sometimes, and we're at a point now where it's so fucking obvious to us, and that doesn't like right. Like I don't think I'm always right. I just think I'm gonna be right, and it's so obvious, and it's funny how people see it approaching all-time highs, but people don't make the connection like it's approaching all-time highs, but the hype isn't nearly as high, and then Google Trends are still 15% of all-time high, which means that people aren't talking about it. And that means it could go much higher, and the institutional investors and PayPal added support, and banks are now allowed to hold it, and banks are probably going to get in after PayPal, and like billionaires everywhere are getting into this. People are changing their minds on it. So it's like everything that was always going to happen is happening. And like so then what I think is like, okay, it's not a matter of like, will it or won't it happen? Because maybe there'll be like some sort of unexpected thing. You never know. But it seems to be happening. So then it's like, how can I position myself and the people I know best to take advantage of this, or at very least just to not like lose money from it?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest problems with crypto is this sort of branding problem where the people who don't know about it and aren't bought into it like seem to just think you're an absolute batshit crazy person for telling them that they might want to consider researching this.
Yeah, man.
Like it seems to a lot of people, at least from my perspective, that most people that are like against it, well, this part's a fact. They don't understand it, but they also have like a preconception that it's this stupid, fringe, weird, like circle jerk type of thing.
Yeah, man. And that's how the system is. That's how it's almost by design, is that the people that get into this are believers, and you can't have a guarantee. And if you want to have a really high upside for this, then you have got to sacrifice that. And people feel threatened by it too, obviously, because if my bank account is all in US dollars and then you come to me telling me that Bitcoin is going to accrue value at up 10x or 20x or 100x potentially, then if I agree with you and I don't buy Bitcoin, then I can't live with myself, because that's really scary. Yeah. So if I don't have time for this, and if I have like 8 things on my to-do list, I might say, fuck it, Matt's crazy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that.
People just believe what they want to believe, until it gets to the point where their friends are buying it and where they're afraid that they're not going to get in at all. And then they're going to end up buying at like 160K, and then it'll crash to 40, and then they'll sell, and then it'll rebound to like 120 and they'll buy, and then it'll crash to 80 and they'll sell. And then they'll just say, I'm
Yeah.
out forever. And then in 5 years, it'll be at like 500. They'll be like, fuck it, fine, I'm buying back in. And then it crashes to 400. They sell.
You've just described me since 2013, but I'm trying to do it right now. But dude, I was thinking about this shit last night. Actually, I was thinking about it, and because I was like staying up late, like looking at the charts, like holy shit, and I like literally remembered like the first trades I ever did, like in any type of trading, was like crypto back in like 2013, and like that was like my first exposure to like even looking at charts or anything like that. And I was like, damn, like it's crazy to think how early that was now looking back. And yeah, it's just really crazy how long this has been going on and how early it still is.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I was a kid.
In 2013.
It was 2013, I believe, is when I first bought and was trading.
Shit. That was when I was. But you couldn't have been like a full kid because I was in college at that point.
Well, not a kid. 2013, or was it 2011? Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a kid. I was like 20 or whatever. But it was still like compared. It feels like a long time ago. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
was it
it was
2013 or 2011?
I got it in 2013.
It was one of those two.
2013 was when it was trending up towards 1,000.
Yeah, that was when I think that was when I got in. For some reason, I was like going down the Litecoin rabbit hole at the time.
Yeah.
So I actually bought Litecoin, and that's what I was watching the most. So I remember when I bought it, I believe it was somewhere around $2. So I think there's probably that. I think it was 2013, and there was already like some hype, and it was around the run up to 1,000.
Yeah.
But I was like trading like a moron. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. It like I have nothing to show for that.
Yeah, it happens.
But it's all good.
It happens to everybody when they first get into crypto, and then like you said, I mean, it happened to me too. I bought it like 800 and I sold it 600 my first time, and then eventually I bought Ethereum at 11, then I sold at 13. So eventually you learn that the only way is just to understand the underlying thing, because if you don't understand Bitcoin, then you're gonna sell.
Yeah, I think that's why you're onto something, because the missing link is education.
For sure.
And if people just understood, they would stop making fun of it. They would stop not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
It would just like you can't find somebody that is opposed to it that can actually explain it.
Yeah. Exactly.
It just doesn't seem to exist.
It doesn't. So education is the missing piece. And yeah, it'll happen. I'm excited about this new strategy that I'm doing. So I've been, I think I talked about this on the podcast. I'm launching a website similar to CoinMarketCap, just with a focus on more education. And it'll be marketcap.guide. And should we give a play-by-play for
whatever if you want?
Okay, I think we should. Matt took a hit of the vape.
We're passing it back and forth here via Zoom.
The cannabis vape. Yeah, and I'm about to in a couple minutes probably. What was I? Oh yeah.
Market cap.
So expanded. We are working with 2 full-time developers now, and we're building it on React, and it's been coming along nicely.
What's React? Is React like a type of
It's
code?
a JavaScript framework that's good for like real-time data, and it's just like really good tech. So it's like it's like popular nowadays. I think it was invented by Facebook, built as like an internal
that sounds
tool,
familiar,
and then React, and then released. But building it in that, and there's like it's been coming along over the past 5 months or so, things to build. But I realized that everything's happening in crypto, and we're still not ready to release the site. So instead of focusing on this whole site, I'm just going to focus on launching the Bitcoin page as bitcoin.guide and trying to make that as cool of a page as possible, and also like making it a Bitcoin guide, but also just having the live data and just trying to launch something just because I've had this URL for a while and I've had that mostly written guide for a while, and just like trying to put what I've written together into something. Um, so
Yeah, I think you'll feel
yeah,
really good getting something out there.
for sure.
I mean, it has taken a while, which it should. I mean, you're really doing a proper deep dive with this site. Like, it's not like something you're slapping together in a weekend or whatever. I mean, this, you probably first told me about this like at least 6 months ago or something, probably more.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but good things take time. I mean, I do, like, I'm psyched to see it out there in the world.
Yeah. It's
And
crazy.
dude, yeah, the world needs it right now. Like, this would be the perfect time to unveil it.
Yeah, for sure. And what I'm realizing too is like I'm still gonna try and use that guide that I wrote and try and combine both into one. So having the live prices and all that, and then combining it with the education. So actually having a page that's not education or live prices, but both.
Yeah, I like that a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, I guess eventually the entire site could kind of be that, because you could have like a guide on every single uh, coin, right? Like, for example, if you clicked into obviously Ethereum, I know you've got that towards the top of the list, but eventually like every page could be education. Like, if you click into whatever random shitcoin and
Yeah.
you could see like the explanation of it, would be cool.
Yeah. That's the goal. And the mistake that I want to make sure to not make is to rush into education for 400 coins all at once, because that would just be so hard to do. So I'm focused on Bitcoin and
No, yeah.
Ethereum, and then eventually maybe making a system that we can make education for all of them. But it's too easy in crypto education to just uh, slap some duct tape words together and just like put it up there.
Yeah.
Where I think that having it be really high quality is super important.
Yeah, no, I think you'd be much better off doing like the top few coins in super high quality than just doing some like
Yeah.
auto generated page for 500 different coins, or like outsourcing it and just having them copy some bullshit like
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
That's another thing I'm excited about with the just for the with working with the developers and building it. At first, we were thinking of building this as like the coin page and doing the same template for every coin, which is more or less what it's going to end up being. But I like focusing on it just as the Bitcoin page because we can think of it in terms of one coin. When every coin page is going to be about one coin, there's no such thing as the template. It's like in
Mhm.
practice, it ends up being about a coin. So I think it makes it more practical, and then we can think about how it makes sense to present Bitcoin to people, and then that will probably translate to a lot of the other coins. But especially for Bitcoin and Ethereum, I want the pages to be unique.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
And from there, I would just kind of go down the list, or whatever's getting the most attention
for sure.
at the time. You would put the most focus into building out those pages, and then the other ones could just be uh, more towards the generic side, I guess, just with like the data and things like that.
For sure.
But eventually, I mean, dude, eventually this could be so big that you have a giant team that you could actually handle having every single one be detailed. Like, it's totally possible. Just requires research and time, right?
Yeah, and it's just it also requires just finding the right team because it's just hard to find people. It's where I haven't figured out yet how to find people that are really good at explaining this stuff simply. But I mean,
Mm.
that's one of my biggest tasks to be able to do that.
But that's also sort of your expertise, but you can't do everything.
Yeah, for sure. It's been good to focus on hiring, even with the developers, like hiring, okay, there's two people working full time on building the technology. And even like I'm in the process of trying to hire and work with more people on the business side of things too. And I'm realizing like that's how these things scale is having the right people in the right context.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, like, what have you learned about that or how are you learning about that? Are you reading books about hiring or?
Yeah, I would love to read. There's a few books on like management that I want to read. There's always more books that I want to read. Um,
Yeah.
and I think reading one, at least one, would be really good. But I've been learning just through doing, by
Hmm.
just trying to have good communication and trying to like figure out when things are going to work, when things aren't going to work. Yeah, things of figuring out like what to prioritize and also how to communicate. And also if I see the website and something doesn't feel right, like maybe the spacing, the way it was translated, just learning not only to say something about that, because it's so easy if something isn't how I want it to just let it go, be like, all right, this is the way it is. Just learning to, I think it's a lesson in communication. Um, and it's like there's many ways. Like if I give you a project to make something, and then you come to me and say, "All right, here's what you asked for," and I'm thinking, "Well, that isn't really what I asked for, or maybe it is what I asked for, but it's not really what I wanted." How do I then tell
Hmm.
you that it's not what I wanted and give you guidance on how to make it closer? So it's just a matter of communication and like because there's a million ways that the tech can be built. So just trying to figure out um, how to best communicate that feedback has probably been the biggest thing I've learned. And yeah, just I think also just making sure people know that I respect their thoughts. And that's not the same as I'm definitely going to take their thoughts, but I always will consider it.
Yeah, I think that's wise. I mean, you just want to iterate and work through things together and make it understood that any feedback is not an attack at them personally. It's let's think through this together about what's the best way it could be and like bring your ideas to the table and I'll consider those, but I also can sort of steer you when it's not right too, but like in a way that feels more collaborative than authoritative, I guess.
For sure. And it's been really liberating too to be in that creative control decision maker role for the business as a whole. Because over the past like 2 years, I was running a business with a friend 50-50. We were doing kind of a marketing business for a Brave browser. And that was great. But then when there would be differences of opinion, there's no it's almost like bargaining chips at that point. It's like, well, how important is it to you that we do it this way? And if it's really important, then we'll do it. But then if it's not really important, then we won't do it. And it's like something that I don't have to think about as much. So I'm realizing like I want to make it a certain way. I want to make it so that it's as easy as possible for the users, and also in this sort of design style and subtle style that is hard for me to even describe. So I'm just trying to figure out how to describe that and how to stick to my guns when it makes sense and how to let in feedback when it makes sense. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to play both sides of that.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm
Yeah.
just excited to see it. I think it's gonna be great.
Thank you.
So is this like I, if you don't want to go into that on the podcast or not, it's cool. But like, are you totally not doing Brave anymore? Or I feel like I haven't heard that if that's true.
Yeah. So, yeah, me and Andre were going like 50-50 on it. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, I've been like focused 100%, pretty much 95% on this crypto stuff. And at this point, it just doesn't feel fair that we're doing a 50-50 profit share. So we switched where he's getting the majority of it now. And I still
Mm.
have something. I'll still like advise and put in my thoughts and this and that, but I'm not going to be like actively involved.
Mm. Well, that's good. I mean, it sounds like the right decision. Plus, like, I mean, you've got investment stuff kind of keeping you going and all that. So, like, you don't need to be relying on that now. And instead, you can go for the higher leverage thing, which is everything you're working on.
Yeah, man, I'm always about like in terms of like projects, like I'll always like um I don't want to say burn a bridge with a project, but like I'll always just retire a project when I feel that it's time, because like I didn't own Brave and I was marketing it, but I didn't own the product. I didn't make the product. And I realized that if I can market this, I should just be building my own software. And also, I have experience with tech, so I can probably figure out how to do it, even though I don't do it full time, but I can at least speak that language. So it's
Hmm.
just like the most important thing to me is just doing something that brings out the skill that I want to learn. And I don't care about the money. Like Brave making money, like, okay, that's fine. But I would rather just like if I can build tech and if I can figure out this, then whether this first one works out or not, it's gonna work out. It's just such a skill to have.
Dude, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the best skill. I mean, I need to at some point, like, because I think in terms of, we talked about how I think in terms of physical products and
Yeah.
you think in terms of software products. And I would love to rewire my brain a bit to where I could think more in terms of software products because I think they're the highest leverage. And it's like, do you get the feeling that I'm curious how you feel being in the software space? Like I, in the physical product space, feel like everyone's doing physical products. And I feel like in software, it's more like, specific geniuses and stuff like that, like very few people that are capable. I'm curious if, like, from your perspective though, like, do you feel like everyone's doing software? Like, is it kind of flipped? Like, is it just dependent on what you're surrounded with?
Mm. As a specific genius, I would like to say, um, I mean, I think,
You're an unspecific genius. You're a broad genius. Even better.
yeah, man. Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of person that's building software compared to building products, where it is more of a, I mean, obviously it's more of a techie crowd because you're building tech software, but um, I don't know. I feel like I'm not really fully fully in the community, and at the same time, I have been following Silicon Valley and all these like thinkers for a while. So I guess I probably
Hmm.
am. I always understand it. Um, what's your question like about the competition?
I guess so. Yeah, it's just like, are there, like, it can, from the outside, something can seem,
Yeah,
saturated or whatever you want to call it. Like, do you
I
do
think
you just see it as an endless abundance of software ideas that could be executed, or do you
yes.
see it as like, yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that also the barrier, there's probably way less competition in software, I would say, just because if you think about the scale of the last 100 years, like build the ability to build hardware and that is sort of like that's like passed down in the genetic DNA of families for hundreds of years, and it's like, all right, we make products, but nobody has made software. So everybody that's doing software, it's like everybody that lives in America has moved. Most people have moved here in the last few hundred years, just because of the arc of history, and most people building software are still relatively new at it, and there's these barriers of just like figuring out technology, and nobody wants to figure out how to build technology. So I think that
Yeah.
getting over that is probably the hardest part. And then I think once you can build it, then you can, yeah. I I, I think there's infinite software things that would work. I also think that there's a greater infinity of software things that wouldn't work.
Yeah, there's so much. I like how you put that, the infinity, because I think that goes in
Yeah.
in the things that would work too. Because like with physical products, there's kind of like restraints. There's like a framework that we're thinking within. It's like made of metal or wood or
Right.
like whatever. But with software, it could be like there are products that don't look anything like each other. I think it's probably, if you have the skill sets, it's probably much easier to do something truly unique in software than it is with a physical product. Because with a physical product, you have to be literally an
Yeah.
inventor to come up with something that has never been done before. Whereas in software, probably most software has never been done before.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like there's things that are even like obvious like that that you might find like, oh, I just want a solution for that. And then if I mean, dude, especially having business experience, keep in mind a lot of people that build software for the first time don't have business experience, but having run other businesses, I think it puts you in a unique role to then go into software. I mean, dude, that's what like I think about my skills, and I feel like they're all converging around these few core things that are pretty valuable. So like I have an understanding of computer science. I now have an understanding of marketing. I've also practiced writing, which is related to marketing, and then also to take those two and combine it with and like business and learning like what people want and when people are going to spend money, and then combining that with software and being able to make that, I think that you have these advantages on people just through the unique experiences that you've had, even if it is selling a physical product.
Yeah, I'm not that afraid of it. I
Yeah.
think the only thing would be, I think I would probably do it with a technical co-founder sort of thing. I
Yeah.
mean, me and you were talking about this the other day, is how we've learned about like the value in partnering with experts on things.
For
And,
sure.
even my current outlook in the physical product space is that, I've learned so much through having a mechanical engineer co-founder with RSNV that just makes things possible that would have never been possible, because the products we can design and make are things that there's no way I would have ever been able to do. And not only that, I wouldn't have it would have been very hard for me to pay some random engineer to do them, because
Right.
you don't know like they wouldn't understand what you understand, versus like having somebody that can do that. So I think in that regard, like I wouldn't be afraid of software. But if I was doing it like solely myself, like trying to manage a team, see, I think what you have that I don't have is just the ability to, you can at least know if a software engineer is doing good work, which I think is a very valuable skill, because then that gives you the ability to hire and to know who is producing high quality work, versus if you have no idea whatsoever, you might not even know that your software is built on fucking toothpicks.
Yeah. I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be back in a minute. Hell yeah. Time for me to hit the
Oh,
vape.
nice.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man. Dude, I'm gonna hit this
Probably a
vape. I'm
good,
gonna start like talking about like how XRP is good.
Probably a good little time for like transition in the conversation. Speaking of that, I have an idea on my business brainstorm list that is cannabis related. Unlikely I would do it, but I was just shocked. I think it's like $1 billion opportunity, and I can't believe that it's not really out there. I didn't know this was a thing. I'm curious if you know that it's a thing. But so obviously there's cannabis, which is the plant. There's THC, which gets you high, and there's CBD, which is in every product for dogs. And every product in the world now, right, has CBD, like anti-inflammatory, whatever. Obviously, there's benefits. I like CBD. But what I did not know, I'm trying to look at this note here, too, of what I wrote about this. But I had no idea that you can get actual cannabis flower. Like, not flower like the ground up stuff, like the stuff that you would normally smoke, right, is flower.
Yeah.
FLOWER. And there is cannabis flower that is only CBD and 0 THC. And there's obviously a ton of CBD products that people just want CBD, but what I never knew that you could actually breed a plant to be like that, like the whole thing. So this CBD flower can be smoked, it can be made into edibles, all the same stuff, like full spectrum, because it's not just an extract. And it seems like that stuff can be sold without any of the sort of regulations of anything else.
Yeah.
Literally, there's literally like a market down the street that just has like jars of fat nugs of weed on the counter. Like, it's not dispensaries.
Yeah, this is happening everywhere. Even literally, when I say across the street, I mean actually across the street. There's
Maybe
a
it's just new
shop
to me
where I
then.
can buy. I mean, I'm in Austin, Texas, where cannabis is illegal, but you can buy joints even of CBD or just straight flower.
So, okay, then I guess I'm just new to it, but I was thinking, how is this not everywhere? Maybe it already is.
I think I was in
Definitely
Charlotte like 18 months ago, and there was also a shop there, but I think there's like one shop per city, maybe two, maybe a couple.
Yeah, maybe I'm out of the loop, but I was pretty surprised that you could just see this being sold like totally normally. And I think there's probably arguably better benefits than just a CBD gummy or whatever, because you're getting the full plant. There's probably all these other compounds and beneficial things in there other than just the extract of the one freaking molecule that has been identified. And if you were to use that in products or whatever, yeah, I just can't believe there's nobody owning the space though. I mean, can you sell that online? Like, couldn't there be a brand that like seriously capitalized on this and became like the CBD brand? Like for actual, not just like CBD tinctures and shit.
Yeah. I think that a lot of times when there's a big run, even compared to crypto, a lot of people will enter the market and not everyone will like do it right or with taste. And I think that that's happening in CBD where there's a lot of people that just rushed out and they got out and they're making a lot of sales, but they're not doing it right. So one company that I love is Charlotte's Web, and they started this, and a lot of people see them as like big business now, but I still like it just because I can just feel the stuff. Like their CBD, I actually feel, and a lot of others I don't feel, and who knows what the cause of that is, but I think that just the quality on a lot of the CBD is pretty low, and I think that there's probably not that much testing and stuff. So it's like for me, like the reason that I wouldn't be interested is just because I don't know about plants and I don't have a background in plants, and I think a lot of people are experts on plants, and I'd like to learn more about plants. I just don't. But dude, like I think that you could do it big. I also think like I don't know how to say it. I'll think out loud. Like when you smoke the plant or even CBD, it pushes you towards this thought, brand doesn't matter as much. I kind of want to take that back because like I don't think that really makes sense. But I think that it's just different than the alcohol industry, and like with cannabis users, at least for me, I don't think I would want a nationwide thing. I would want to buy local if I could, or at least buy from people, because generally the people that can make it
but that could be it. It could be like it could be a brand that sources locally, like all around the country or something like that.
Like a sweet green
and
for
it's just
weed.
an idea. Yeah, it's not like you have to do this idea or I have to do this idea. Like I don't think either of us are going to do this idea. I was just surprised that it just seems like an awesome. It feels like it would be really easy to market because it's like, because I agree with you. I think the CBD space is absolute shit. I think that 99% of them don't do anything. I think when anybody tells me that they're considering starting a CBD brand, I'm like, dude, like go join the 10 million other people with that idea. It just doesn't even register. I think Charlotte's Web is good too. I've used their products, but I thought this was interesting because this would obviously be in a form that is more, it would definitely be effective. Like there's no doubt that it would be effective because you're not just getting some random like dropper that you have no idea what it is. Whereas this, it's like you could literally cook this down into like a butter or whatever and know that it's in there.
So I understand what you're saying. Like funny enough, I've actually like when I was in Charlotte visiting a friend, I smoked an all CBD joint, and it's like I didn't feel that as much as I feel just doing the Charlotte's Web dropper, which I feel instantly. So,
maybe it's a dose thing. Yeah, maybe that has just way more or something.
Yeah,
but
it could be like a concentrate.
Yeah, totally. Right. It could be like smoking 100 CBD joints in one dropper or something.
Yeah. I don't know, like with new business ideas, it's like I have so many that it's hard to get excited about something that I almost feel sure that I'm not gonna do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I just get excited about having ideas. I think I'm different than you on that.
Yeah.
I get excited about ideas that I wouldn't do.
Interesting.
Like I'm not even like considering doing this, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, somebody could pull this off. Somebody could figure out the few little loopholes that you have to go through to be able to sell it. And it just seems kind of like no brainer that it seems like it should be more popular. Like I didn't even realize that you could buy it in that form, like at a freaking grocery store. How I have to assume that most people would be surprised by that.
Yeah, I also think that the market of people think about the market of people who are gonna smoke. You're talking about smoking like a flower, or just making it
Yeah,
into.
yeah. It could be smoked, or I think
Yeah.
maybe even more interestingly would be making like edibles like do it yourself.
Well, that's pretty much like what the
And
oil is. It's just like you could put the oil in a brownie too.
yeah, but the oils are exact extracts of just CBD. That's the same problem
Oh,
with THC products. Is when you're buying like a THC gummy, it's just
w-
THC. You're not getting the full spectrum of the plant.
they have what I buy is like full spectrum hemp oil. So
Mm.
it's I think it has CBD in it. Let me actually have it right here. Um,
I still think there's people that would do it at home though. I get what you're saying. Like
yeah,
this product is probably already doing it, but dude, like think about the people like me in terms of food. Like, dude, we'll like freaking
yeah.
drive to some random like stand just to buy eggs or whatever, just to
Yeah.
like know what the chickens ate. Like there are people that would love to know exactly what's going into it.
Oh, dude, if you had like if you were unique in terms of like the sourcing of it and verifying the sourcing of the flower, I think that would be really unique.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would be easy. I mean, I think that would be part of it. That was another thing I thought of, just side tangent, that I think there is still space like in the cannabis industry is for people to do things that are health focused. Like, dude, most of it has like no mention of pesticides. It's just like 420 mega blaster hash joint. It's not like grown outdoors and using purified water or whatever. Like I think there should be more. I think it will continue to shift in that direction as people like
Yeah.
realize that stuff. I think there could be brands that are a little more sourcing conscious. I mean, look at what's happening in food. I mean, if you come out with the food brand today that's not sourcing conscious, it would just seems like you're like so outdated.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I agree with you. I think people will do it for sure.
Yeah,
It's just
just a random idea.
it'll play out. Um, yeah. Trying to think if I've had any Oh yeah, I had a random idea. Um,
Let's hear it.
I told you
That's what
about
I
this
want to hear.
obvious dot guide.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to hear the whole explanation. I only heard the 3 second explanation before.
Yeah. I mean, this would be like a real side project. I mean, a real quick project too. But the idea is that I'm just gonna make like a quick list of like 20 things that you fucking like obviously should do, like get blackout blinds for your bedroom and wear an Aura ring and or like wear an Aura ring while you sleep and get an electric toothbrush, um, get an external battery pack. Um, I don't know, these different just like obvious things. Um,
So it's kind of like stuff that everyone should own.
it's just like
That's
fucking
kind of the.
yeah. It's just like come on, just like get this. Like oh, like
Would it just
buy
be?
Bitcoin.
So it wouldn't just be physical products.
I'm not thinking about it in terms of products. I'm just thinking like I want it to like impose like I want it to like be a little bit like like you should fucking do this. Um so I just want to like tell people what to do. Like tell people how to live their lives.
Give me like okay, what are a few of your examples that like what are going to be a couple examples that are clearly in the first page?
Oh, just like get an Oura ring. Like do you
Yeah.
really think that not measuring what your heart rate while you sleep is a smart thing to do? Like
Okay.
I just
Any
like
others?
um oh yeah, oh,
Buy Bitcoin.
buy a water filter or buy filtered
Mm.
water. It's like
Yeah.
obviously. Like do you really think that the the city gives a fuck about the invisible shit that's in the water? Oh, and by the way, like you just don't know. So it's better to be safe with like the literal water you drink. And on that end, buy an air filter. So
Dude, these are like all my favorite You're basically listing my
yeah,
favorite products. I love it.
Right. It's
It
like,
kind of
and
reminds me
it's
of like
funny,
my
Matt. It's funny to hear you say my favorite product is having clean air. It's like it's
I'm that I think that's a sign that I'm like old and boring or something. I get the most joy out of my air purifier.
that's hilarious. Yeah, dude. Like it's almost just like I we think of it as a utility having clean air.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of I have these pages on Kit. It's like kit.co, like where you can put together like product collections and stuff.
Okay.
And like dude, I have all those things listed, and but it's more product focused. I like how you're kind of just saying like it's not just obvious things to buy, it's obvious things to do, I guess.
It's a
Like it could be
social good project.
yeah.
It's a social wellness project.
Yeah, it's just like a little nudge. It's just like, hey, wake up, like do these things, you dumb shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, motherfucker, like I want you to be sleeping better, so I'm gonna just I'm just gonna tell you like you really need to do it right now. Oh, another obvious one is like, oh, have you been sleeping with the same pillow for 3 years and it's too bulky and your neck's at an angle? Like, oh, you want to spend $27.99 on a new pillow and change your life? Like, that's obvious.
You're like wearing that reminds that like you're like wearing socks that are like 8 years old.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's another good one. Let me write that down.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, I have a note that
It's almost funny because it's like it's obvious, but it's things that are obvious that are not obvious. If you know
yeah.
what I mean. Like it's things that should be obvious. It's things that like are obvious but get ignored very easily if you're not careful.
Oh, another one I'm gonna do like, put your phone on airplane mode before bed. Like, it just helps
Dude,
you
this
sleep.
is like Matt Doc. Sorry, I keep
Yeah.
interrupting you, but I just feel like this should be like Matt Doc guide.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're in you you do things that are obvious, I would say. You have common sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
love these things. Any others?
yeah. Don't get a notification from Amazon when they discount a full chicken to $3.99. Matt's taking it. So am I.
Yeah, I wasn't not laughing. That wasn't
Yeah.
awkward silence.
Don't think that Matt
Um,
didn't laugh at my joke, wondering, oh, was it funny? Was it not?
you gotta at least like give the courtesy chuckle.
Now I'm taking it. Yeah, these like social cues that we're still listening. Once you stop doing those, then people think you're not still listening, even if you're just taking a hit from the
Exactly.
vape. Like, bro, I'm listening. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Okay,
dude.
now what were we
People,
talking?
their fucking notifications. Like, dude, if like, if I were to say like, well, I don't look down on people that keep their phones on buzz during the night. That'd be wrong. Like, I like, how can you not? How the fuck can you keep your phone on? But like, maybe okay, well, but I'm a doctor and I'm on call. Like, obviously that's a fucking exception.
Yeah.
But
There's like people dying in the ER.
dude, the Twitter comments are gonna go off about all the exceptions.
Dude, dude, let's leave that. I want to go back to that, but continue.
Um, yeah, the notification, like, why the fuck, like, you gotta respect yourself more than to have your phone buzz at like 3:57 a.m. while you're in your fucking deep sleep.
Wow. Dude, that it's a little shocking to me just that a lot of people do that. I kind of forget because I'm so zoned into this world of phone in airplane mode, blue blockers, freaking unplug the Wi-Fi, blackout curtains,
Yeah,
like the whole thing. I can't even imagine having like your phone buzzing while you're trying to sleep.
yeah,
Like that is rude to yourself. Like that is straight up evil.
Yeah, man. I think. All right, let's give our listeners some credit. Like, look, if your phone is off during the night, then like please just like change it instantly. But if maybe you're an edge case where you're keeping it on do not disturb, but Wi-Fi is still on, that's a case that I mean, I was doing that for years before you probably convinced me to just keep it in airplane. And with
Hmm.
that is like forgetting about the EMFs for a second, which is like another thing that I know you're into, but I don't fully understand the EMFs, and I think I'm getting so much of it anyway. But I try to be smart with that, just in case. And you can talk. But anyway, even without that, if I know that my phone has gotten the notifications already delivered throughout the night, then when I wake up, I'm just gonna find a way to look at it really quickly. And even if I'm meditating when I wake up, it's gonna be like I'm gonna have to like. This is what I did for years. I just like wouldn't look, and I would swipe up and have to do the Face ID and cover the rest of the phone, so I didn't see my notifications. But it's just like there's something really respectful to yourself about having time when your phone is not getting notifications and people can't reach you and people are like, oh well, what if people have said this like to me like about that, like, well, what if something were to happen to my family? And it's
Yeah.
like you gotta just put it on airplane mode, like that's not gonna like maybe it will, but like you can't like I don't maybe if I had kids it would be different, but I can't. I just need some time when there's like a boundary between myself and the other 8 billion people.
Yeah, no, I think it's necessary. I think it's kind of crazy. I mean, I understand like the what if something happened to my family sort of
Yeah,
thing. That is like the toughest part about it. But you also have to think is how long have we even had smartphones that we keep in our freaking beds at night? Like,
yeah.
not very long in compared to human history. Like people figured it out.
Also,
They
like
got
what?
bad news in
Yeah,
the morning.
yeah, dude. Also, like, what if something happened to one's family and then you just find out what 3 hours, 4 hours later? Like, it's not like you're gonna
Yeah.
be able to change things.
Yeah, it's like I want
Yeah,
to ruin every night of sleep for the rest of my life for the one night that's gonna ruin
yeah,
my night,
and yeah.
ruin my.
And you know
Yeah,
what? There's
it's
probably
like
going to be a day when I turn my phone off airplane mode and then there is news that I don't want to hear. But what's the alternative? Like, you can't just not get the news. The only alternative is just to see it as soon as you wake up compared to after you meditate or take a shower or whatever your morning routine is.
yeah, like it's just a must.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
obvious.
like you said, there's exceptions.
Yeah,
Um, like I don't know if somebody's sick and you leave your phone on like occasionally, like okay, like I get it, but I still think there's things you can do to be like more kind to yourself. Like do not like leave the phone across the room. Put it on like a quiet, pleasant ringer sound. Use do not disturb to only let certain notifications come in so that you can
yeah,
only allow the emergency ones to reach you. I mean, you could even do this a whole nother level. You could have a dedicate. I mean, if you really were concerned about this, you could have a dedicated phone that was just for emergencies that was always on, and you left it like across your room at least, or even outside the room, but on ringer, and you would know that if that thing rang, that it was an emergency. Like, there's definitely things you could do that are still pretty optimal, and you would still have that backup.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just a matter of becoming conscious of it. And it took me time. Oh, something else I did that I'm sure you do as well is I turned off the badges for my apps. So previously, when I would look at the home
Hmm.
screen, there would be like over Snapchat, it'd be like a big red circle with like a four inside of it. And that means that there's like four ambiguous things to do once I open Snapchat. Like Gmail had like a 5,786 over it. Um, Phone, like messages, all of these. And eventually I just turned it off. I was like, I don't need that. I can just like check it when I'm ready. I also turned off email push notifications on mobile, even for my primary folder, because I just don't care. Like I can just check my email when I want.
Hmm. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
done both those. The latest one, I forget if I told you about this, but I with the new iOS 14 or whatever,
Yeah.
you can change your icons. So
Oh yeah.
like my phone is just super like
Wow.
useless
Holy
now. Like
fuck.
sorry, I'm holding it like that to try to see you
What
can
I'm
see the whole
seeing
thing. But
is like a black screen with these like small, very simple white icons for every logo, and there's like 20 little icons that take up like half the screen.
yeah, and I decided to not even put the names, like, which seems so funny. It's like, why does Instagram have to say Instagram under it? So I hadn't seen anybody else do this yet, but because
Yeah.
when you do the shortcut, it allows you to name the icon as well. And I was just like, dude, I don't need the names. Like, first of all, if I don't know what it is, it shouldn't be on my fucking home screen, right?
Yeah.
Like, so now I just know what they are. Every other app, you can now you can like hide apps that are not deleted from your phone. That's an awesome feature. So for any app that I don't use all the time, I just completely delete the icon. And if I really need to go on TikTok, I just swipe down from the top of my screen. I'm in the search and I just type TI and then TikTok pops up. So any
Yeah.
app is intentional to go to an app. If I didn't do actual work on social media, which I do, I would do that with all the social apps.
Yeah.
So I think if people like, I think that'd be a great thing to do if people are purely using social apps like not as work. I would totally hide it. But yeah. Yeah, I'm digging that update. I've been meaning to make a video about how to do that because I got a bunch of people ask me. I'm probably going to do that pretty soon. But really cool feature.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Being able to use tech to have it work for our focus, because it's just crazy nowadays that there's so much tugging at our attention, and then there's these algorithms that are like constantly aggregating really interesting things, seemingly interesting things, for us to just switch between. So I think it's really easy to have like get like 1,000 different headlines nowadays, and it's hard to just only focus on what matters. So I think they're just trying not to get caught up in that constant FOMO of like what's the news, helps.
Yeah, I love that. It's way too easy to just be
Yeah.
caught up in everything. I'm so like bought into anything, any product. See, this is an area. If I were to do software, I think I would probably be thinking in this space is anything that can help focus, help reduce distraction. I feel like that is just such a huge both market and a need right now. Any product that can help you say fuck you to all the notifying and bullshit, all the if people watch the social dilemma, like all
Yeah.
of that stuff, like just to rip yourself out of that a bit. I think that type of tech, and it's booming too. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of software in that space that is like trying to make this stuff better and less intrusive, and I'm like really bought in on that thesis.
Yeah, I think it'll happen, and people need to evolve right now. And by need to evolve, I don't mean I'm saying people should evolve. It's just the way that the world is. We need to cultivate our attention, and we need to try harder to cultivate attention now more than we ever did, because in the past there was just less options, but now there's so many options that it takes more effort, at least more effort than is socially conditioned to actually focus. So I think that meditation and
Yeah.
being responsible about our notifications, like there's not really that much of a difference between being a cigarette smoker and like getting 10 notifications a minute, just because each one is kind of giving you your rush. So I think that just over time people will realize that like we can't just like take what these tech companies are giving us. We have to really be conscious about understanding how it interacts with us.
Yeah. I do. I think it's like, well, it's interesting how like I feel mental health as a topic is blowing up so much, but
Yeah.
I feel like what you're like, I guess I don't follow the content that much, but do they talk about stuff like this? I mean, I feel like this is the way to practice mental health right now is like knowing how to manage your freaking notifications and
Oh,
meditation and stuff like that.
no. Yeah, they don't.
Like,
So
I think this is the practice of sanity.
hey, yeah, it's crazy world, man. It's like I just realized like things just things kind of just are the way they are, and yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that focusing more towards these things will be effective, and I think that's happening. Like people are going towards it, and like it's yeah, it's like it's really interesting to see this kind of it's almost like an awareness revolution of people. There's this
Yeah.
movement of people that are all focused on cultivating awareness and just experiencing that
Hmm.
concept. I mean, you could say consciousness. There's just like we really need to be able to be more conscious nowadays, and it's not as much about like doing repetitive work and like in factories and this and that, but the culture shifting to be like we need to evolve our minds. So yeah, I don't know, it's happening, and like it's an exciting
Do you
time.
think it's in do you think it's in the culture, or do you think it's on our fringes? Like, do you think this is mainstream, or do you think this is just beginning to bubble up on the edges?
Oh, I mean, it's a spectrum between mainstream and edge. So it's like I don't know quite how big to cast the circle around mainstream and fringe, but I think that I mean, it's gonna be mainstream and it's on its way there. I don't think it is yet. And also, like, once meditating for 10 minutes a day is mainstream, then there's gonna be more things on the fringe. Like, I don't know, who knows? But like, I don't know. Like, it's, I think that the culture is a lot of times just this, it's just like a lot of different kinds of people doing different things. But I don't think it's widespread yet.
Yeah. Dude, I wonder the real stats on how many people meditate. Like, that would be so fascinating
How
because
many
I
people
feel
like
like
actually meditate? Yeah.
how many people, like, yeah, like how many people actually meditate, even if it's 5 minutes, whatever, just like what are the actual counted time of people meditating? Because sometimes lately I feel like, and I'm guilty of this too. Like, I mean, I've had phases where I skip it, or a lot, like pretty much always where I don't do it as long as I would think is beneficial. But like, it's really easy to talk about meditation, and a lot of people are talking about it, but I feel like nobody sits down for even 30 seconds a day.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible to know if you're not talking to your friends about it. But yeah, I mean, I would guess, I mean, I think most people don't meditate in the US right now. Um,
Oh, for sure. Dude, it's
it's,
probably like under 5%. I
yeah,
mean, I think like,
I was thinking
I
maybe like
think in,
5% or under.
yeah, probably somewhere in that
Yeah.
range. And that's probably like if you include sort of like religious based meditation and stuff too, like people, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Meditation was not invented by Silicon Valley.
you don't need an app to meditate.
Yeah.
What app do I use to breathe? The Breathe app?
It's BRYTH.
BRTH.
Yeah.
Breath.
BRTH.io. Yeah.
Or it's like breathy, breathly,
Yeah. Breathe, homie.
breathio, breathio.
Yeah, they take the air from like the best place on earth and then they bring it to you. That's what it would be.
It's
Like
basically the model for water.
there's ions in the air and like normally the air that you breathe in it doesn't have like the right pH level, but our air we put it through like a filter and there's no leaks in this filter. So like if we put the air into this, it's gonna come out and like we have like crystals on the inside of it so that the air moves through them. So it's this is good air.
Dude, this is hilarious, but I bet it would sell as like a novelty product. Like, what if you could
Yeah.
do like Mount Everest air and you like shows up and you like take a rip of it?
It shows up in like a prepackaged bong with a seal on it, and all you have to do is like it's like a glass bong, and you just like take the plastic off, and then you just have only one hit of the bong, and then it comes with like a return shipping. You just open the box, you take the hit, and then you close the box, and like it comes with tape to reseal it, and then the label, and you just leave
And
it
then
out.
the next person gets air from your location.
Yeah, or you could send it back to Mount Everest to refill.
Somebody, yeah, dude. Somebody's like, I want to try Austin Air, and then they buy it, and then you ship it to them.
Oh my. Yeah, we could like tokenize it too. So we would be like you could like it could be like an ERC 20 token, so that if like I have this token, then you know it's real air. Yeah. How do we even get to this? Yeah. Yeah. Whenever someone tells me how did we even get to this, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
You're like, I'm
Yeah.
just here too. Like,
Yeah. It's like I'm just like, oh, like we don't have to talk about like there's no subject right now. Yeah. Well, but do we have a subject right now? What do we even talk about? I think we run out.
I don't know.
Air, water. I have kind of a. Actually, no, I don't want to. I don't want to tell that. Sorry for doing that. Yeah.
Well, now I'm so curious.
Okay, fine. I'll tell like a real quick version, but I'm not gonna tell like a grand version. Like somebody moved into the house the other day, and I ordered True Food delivery, and like a minute after it got delivered, I got the notification, and I go down and the food wasn't there, and like where is it? Like somehow I could call the guy, and the guy was like, yeah, like I put it right there, and he like described the house over the phone. I was like, what the fuck? Like he's like, oh, I'm 5 minutes away. Like I don't mind. I'll just come back. Okay, so he comes. He's like, the food was there. Like where is it? Like it's not there. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so I randomly found out that like the the guy who had just moved into the house that I'm in, we have this like you can like come and leave. They're like for travelers. Like he at the exact moment that my food was dropped there, his food was also like there, and he came out and got it, and he just got both. So I go and I knock. I'm just like, hey, like, did you grab my food by any chance? He's like, yeah, like I actually I ate it already. And he was just like, I didn't put two and two together. Like I don't know. So honestly, dude, like I don't even.
Dude, I did not think that was gonna be the punchline. Holy
dude,
shit!
I like literally like.
Dude, I thought he was just gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I took it by accident. Here it is."
He was like, "Yeah, like as I was biting into that turkey burger, I was realizing I didn't order this."
Dude. No, I don't know if I buy that. What if he was like, "Oh, this got delivered to the wrong house. Like I just won big."
Yeah, maybe he thought that, and he was like, "Yeah, like I had a few drinks earlier, so I don't know what a few translates to numerically." But yeah, man, I think I feel like especially if it was left at the same time as his other food, maybe he's like, "Oh, like the delivery driver left two by accident." Even like who knows?
Yeah. He probably never thought he was taking your food.
Yeah, it probably didn't cross his mind.
I'm sure not.
Until it did. Yeah.
So, did you order again?
So it was closed, but like he was just like, yeah, like I'm gonna Venmo for it. Yeah, it was just like super funny. I was also because like I hadn't met him yet, and I like knock on the door. I'm like, hey, like I'm wondering if you have my food, and he's just like he's like shirtless. He opens the door. He's like, oh hey, I must have eaten it.
I think I ate that.
Yeah.
I think there might have been some food that
resembled
that.
At first I thought I was gonna be like, oh hey, like misunderstanding, here's the food. But then it took him like a few seconds to open the door, and like I was like, oh, like hey, and he didn't say like I'm coming. It's just like he just like walked to the door and opened it, and
Hmm.
not that you have to, but I don't know. I'm just trying to describe the play by play. So um, he opens it, and there's this like 4 second pause where he kind of like makes eye contact with me, and like he's about to say something. And in those 4 seconds, I realized that he ate my food.
Dude, I love this story. Dude, you need to like write this or
Yeah, I mean,
like perform the whole
we
thing.
should record this,
Yeah.
bro.
But this was the short
Damn.
version though.
Imagine if we
Like
had been
this was
recording this whole time.
imagine if only, if only. But imagine if you had told the full version.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The story's honestly been more of a hit than I realized. Like my other roommate loved it also.
I don't know. I think it's pretty hilarious.
It's never happened before. It also was like it happened on such a quick time scale too. And I think it's also
How long did he have
dude,
to eat it?
dude, not long, 10 minutes at most. Dude, also like when I was on the dude, also like when I was on the phone with the Uber driver, like I checked everywhere and it like wasn't around. So then I called the Uber driver, and when I was talking to the Uber driver who was like saying it would come back, I was like right outside of that door of his door. So like maybe he didn't hear like maybe he didn't hear me. And then the Uber driver got back and he felt so bad and I felt bad. I offered the Uber driver $5 just for like taking the extra time to come back. And he was like, "No, don't worry about it. Like I feel bad." And I was like, "Yeah, just like no, like I'm not gonna rate you bad. Like it's not your fault." Um, he's like, "Yeah, like I left it right there. I don't know what happened." I was like, "All right, like someone must have taken it." And yeah, the whole thing is funny.
Dude, it's really funny. I hope people think it's as funny as I think it
Yeah,
is funny.
yeah, man. Um, so it's been good. Yeah, and also talking about meditation. So I've still been. Did I mention to you I've been doing these 1 hour meditations?
No.
Oh,
Don't think so.
dude, that would be interesting to talk about. So in Sedona, a few days after I like stayed extra, and Seth called me and he's like, "Dude, like I just tried a 1 hour meditation that Naval recommended, and it was incredible. Like I feel so good afterwards." And my developer for Market Cap had mentioned the same thing. Actually, he was like, "I also tried the one that Naval recommended on Tim Ferriss's podcast." And he was like, he was like, "I tried it." So I was like, "All right, like I'll just try
Hmm.
it." And I realized like it actually like wasn't that hard. Like I've already been doing it for 10 minutes so regularly that I just like tried an hour, and every morning now I'll just like I've done an hour for most mornings for the last, I don't know, maybe it's been like 2 weeks.
Dude, that is awesome. I've never done an hour. I need first of all, holy shit, that's a huge like amount of praise for this one audio that Naval recommended. Like, I need to
Yeah.
hear this. Do you
Yeah.
like know what it's called if people could find it?
Yeah, dude. So he was on the Tim Ferriss podcast recently. So if you just go to Tim Ferriss podcast, most recent episodes, he's probably like number 6 or 7 or 8 down that list.
Yeah, but the meditation specifically.
Oh,
Like you mean it'd be in the notes or something or
no, he talks about meditation on that podcast. So it's like
Oh,
a
I thought you were saying that Naval recommended a specific 1 hour like guided meditation.
no,
You're just
no,
saying Naval suggested meditating for an hour.
yes. He
Okay.
actually he actually
I
sug-
misunderstood.
he actually specifically suggested not using any guided meditation and or anything, and he said just um, sit there in silence, close your eyes,
Hmm.
and let whatever arises arise. Um,
Yeah, I love that.
yeah,
I'm gonna try it.
yeah,
I've been doing 5-10 minutes. Definitely need to try some extended. So I mean, how are you operating that at such a long time? Like, are you just literally setting a timer and then being in complete silence, or are you checking in? Like, how? What is your protocol?
yeah, for sure. I do it with sound. So there's sounds from some Spotify that are just instrumentals that I listen to. Um, it's cool. There's one for 10 minutes, one for 20 minutes, and another one for 30 minutes that they have on Spotify. So the name of it is called Dream 10, Dream 20, or Dream 30. The number's written out. It's by Liquid Mind is the artist, and I have a playlist on Spotify where I have all three of those. And what I'll do is I'll queue up 320s in a row, which means that I get these two little markers in the middle of it, like, all right, it's been 20
Mm.
minutes, all right, it's been 40 minutes. And I'll just sit cross-legged, I have a pretty solid backing, so like I'll do it against like either the wall or like a furniture object, and I'll fold up a pillow and put it against that. So I'm pretty much leaning against something the whole time on the back. Like it's kind of like sitting in a chair, but I'm cross-legged, and
Hmm.
um, I just sit there for an hour. And what I've realized is that then it's almost something about your nervous system that after 20 minutes and then after 40 minutes, you are able to start releasing control over your nervous system in like more of a natural way, in a way that's just not possible with a quick 10 minutes, no matter how deep you go. Because you can go deep with your mind for sure on any level, even in a 2 minute meditation. But in terms of your actual physical body, allowing yourself a lot of time to just sit in that, it allows you to just get to a more natural place where you're out of your thinking mind. And I think just having the time, it makes the meditation not feel rushed. And I just do it. And like every time afterwards, I don't always feel like incredible afterwards, but I always feel incredible compared to how I felt at the beginning of it.
Yeah. Damn. I'm definitely I love that you got into the specifics because that's exactly what I was thinking is like one, like you just get physically uncomfortable after a while. So I like how you mentioned about leaning back in the pillow and the markers for the music to know how much time has passed. Cause yeah, I think otherwise it's like I can imagine getting a little stuck in thoughts just thinking, well, how long has it been? Um, oh, my back is getting uncomfortable. So I think those specifics like really make it more real. Dude, I heard the same I I read Naval the book on Naval too recently. I loved it, by the way, and listened to him on Tim Ferriss. So I had that seed planted about the 1 hour meditation, but now I'm really inspired to try it after hearing you and Seth.
Yeah, man.
Maybe tomorrow morning.
Yeah, dude. And keep in mind, like, the goal of meditation is not to rid yourself of thoughts. And if you have these nagging thoughts, like, how much time has it been? How much longer is it left? Then, number one, I mean, if you really want to, you can just look at your phone. Like, that's not like, I broke the rule. Like, you have to do it, but I don't think you do have to, because it's just information about the way that your mind works. And if you're having a thought that says, "Oh, how much time is it? How much time has it been? How much time is there going to be?" Then it's not as much about the time as much as it is about your somehow anxiety about the meditation, or anxiety about what you want to get done during the day. And if you just make that
Yeah.
commitment, like, okay, like I'm doing it for 60 minutes, and I'm not gonna do it until I feel like stopping. I'm gonna do it for 60 minutes. Then it takes off a lot of the pressure in the meditation, because like, there's actually
Hmm.
nothing easier than just sitting there and doing nothing.
Yeah, I like that because it's no longer just, oh, when you get that thought of anxiety that you have a million things to do, you can get up. It's more just like, no, this is on the schedule. So it kind of creates the space to not worry about everything else even more because that is what you're supposed to be doing for that hour.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
like that.
And what I've started doing, like, I used to meditate for 10 minutes and then read a chapter in a book. And I stopped reading in the mornings just because the meditation takes so long. So I'll read at nights when I can. Um, but it's like, for now, the meditation is a priority.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I feel that a lot. Yeah. I've been probably doing like basically 5 to 10 minutes of each meditate, journal, then read, like in that order typically. But I've had the itch too to really try like going deeper on meditation, so I'm definitely gonna try it.
Yeah, I think I also it was this sort of like um brain blast moment where I just had a realization that I was just like, oh, what would help me right now most is the meditating. And what I struggle with is anxiety. Oh, I struggle a lot with anxiety. Um, like that's what comes up for me with the different projects I'm working on. Stuff like I want to be done faster, and I have these thoughts like this and that. And meditation, it does help that. I know that it helps that, and I realize too. Like I've been doing 10 minutes a day. What if doing 60 minutes a day would be like 6 times as much, which it is 6 times as much. So like I'm just realizing like it's whatever I would be doing in those 50 minutes is less important than just meditating.
Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna steal that thought even if even if I'm only doing 5 or 10 minutes. Like just to think
Yeah,
like no, like these 5 to 10 minutes are set aside for this. Cause I think it's far too easy to just sit down and start meditating and assume that you'll stop whenever you feel like it, like but having it on the agenda I think would make you take it more seriously even if it was 5 minutes.
yeah, yeah. It's just like I really think like especially with the world nowadays, you'd be hard pressed to find something that's more important than just meditating daily. Not to sound like some sort of um,
No.
futuristic tech yogi or whatever. Like I know like it's still not super mainstream to meditate, but like I have no idea why. Like it just helps so much, and I think people are afraid to just sit there with their thoughts. But what you don't realize if you're afraid to just sit there with your thoughts is like you're actually already sitting there with your thoughts.
Yeah. I was like
Yeah.
I was reading some Sam Harris and stuff and been thinking a lot just about that as kind of how meditation is becoming like observing your thoughts. Like literally, it sounds like it's easy to say that, but there's more to it. Like it's getting into the space where you can just notice the thought. Like that is the meditation. Like instead of just being like, oh, I can't think about it, or oh, I'm too busy. My thoughts are racing. I'm afraid to be with my thoughts. Like instead, just realizing like, oh, those are your thoughts, and you are just kind of behind that.
Right. It's dissociating with what we call like I. It's like in society, it's common to think yourself, I am myself and I control my thoughts. And to an extent you do, but to an extent you don't. And I think that meditation plays around with how do things just pop up? Like where do they come from? Like how is it that a thought just pops up? And when you're meditating, you can like you'll have a thought, and then the next thought can be like if I'm literally just sitting here in pure blackness and nothingness, why is there something? And how did that happen?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, I was anxious because I had this like sharp feeling that I wouldn't get enough done today and that I would have to wait
Yeah.
longer for what I wanted to be done complete. And then I think like, well, is there anything you can do about that? Like, can you make sure? Like, no. It's like, well, if there's nothing you can do about it, then why are you allowing that to cause you like a mental pain if there's nothing you can do about it? It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll keep thinking about that. And like, I get to a point where I don't get like, I'm not gonna reach the end of one of those and be like, all right, well, you need to change now, because you're in this place of like understanding. It's like you can't just change now. It's like you just have to understand the causes and like why, and like learning about how you reacted. Like you put the story of your psyche together more.
Yeah. Meditating.
Meditating could be on obvious.guide.
Ooh. Maybe
That should be.
maybe number one.
Yeah,
Yeah, meditate.
yeah. That would also, yeah.
Yeah, it does feel
That,
like one of the most important things you can be doing with your time. like it is the practice of just being yourself
Yeah.
and feeling what it is to be a person. It buys you back time because it buys you awareness to make the other moments more real that you would have slept through, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think important is like a judgment. It's like if I say something is as important, then that means about like what I value. And if we say meditation is important, then that means that we value like having a calm state of mind, which I think is like a very fair thing to value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it sounds like you have like value shame.
Yeah, no, like I think like it's like if we say like people should be meditating, it's like yeah, it's like if you want a calm state of mind, you should do it. And like, man, I don't know, like it was hard for me to start too. Like I was in college, and I guess it's just a matter of like yeah, just trying to make it as easy as possible. Like I think if everybody meditated and everybody slept more, then like all of these people that are just like angrily yelling about making world peace now would just like relax. Like
Dude, tying back to products and software, what and Bitcoin, it's all coming together.
Bitcoin.
What if there could be a wearable that would just actually track how much time you had meditated? Like imagine if you, because it's
Yeah.
like what we were saying with like, oh, nobody actually meditates, but like what if you could literally, like, not just like what people think they meditate. It's kind of
Right.
like the like what the Aura Ring does, but like imagine if it could be that dialed but for meditation. Would be crazy. And
You
then
could
like there
do
could
that
be
with
like
an aura ring,
rewards
probably.
tied to it. Yeah, I mean they already have this like meditation feature, but I think it's too subtle to I think you have to set it up. Like I don't think it will just know that you're meditating if you're not like marking that you are meditating, because otherwise it's just like how is that, it's not that physiologically different from sitting on the couch or whatever, like,
Yeah.
so, but
I'm
that would be really cool. It's kind of like our idea about like air quality and it being like decentralized and then like you getting rewarded for it, or electricity or anything else. But like to measure meditation would be a cool way of like what if like taxes funded that?
dude, what if we as a country had our currency backed by meditation somehow? Like you I don't want to get into the technicals of this right now.
Yeah.
But that could be pretty cool if you somehow figured out a way to do that. Like our population meditates more than y'all, which is why we got more inflation coming our way.
It's super interesting concept.
Yeah.
We're almost at 2 hours. Are we nearing the end?
Um,
Any last things you really want to bring up?
um, it's cool to be doing a podcast again.
Yeah. Somehow it always feels so long.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how we do it. Like it's every time we do it, we do it because we started to miss it.
Yeah.
So I think it's nice that we have this format and it doesn't end up taking that much time, but we can still hit some big points over the months.
Yeah. I feel like a little more frequent would be good because I feel like we
Yeah.
start to miss it and then it takes us a few weeks to like get it on the calendar. So then it's like a little beyond when we were ready for it.
Hmm.
Like I think like we were ready for it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think so. What if we started to try and schedule it again where we had like we're not going to do it every day or every week, but maybe we do like every 2 weeks or every month.
Yeah. I think like probably
I could do
2 weeks might
yeah.
even be 2 weeks is pretty quick actually. I think probably like
Yeah.
three to at least 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we could try
Yeah,
five
I
and
think
we
it'd
could
be
just
cool.
start like scheduling it.
Yeah, let's try it. It should be good. Then less thinking about when we're gonna do it and all that.
Yeah, and
But
scheduling it like we can still shift a few days, but it's at least a reminder to hit each
yeah,
other up and
totally.
schedule something.
Yeah, let's do it. But to the
Yeah.
listeners,
I'm down to aim for like once a month. I feel like that could be like we start turning them out more and we hit like a rhythm with it and it's still doable.
Okay.
And if we do it once a month too, then I think that the chances of getting more listeners also increases because like if people can recommend it if they actually know that it's going to be happening regularly.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
once a month. That's an easy like round way of thinking about it too.
Yeah,
So
once
we'll
a
do
month.
it.
Hell yeah, sounds
But
good. Any
yeah,
last thoughts you have?
TFSR. Not really. No, like just always have fun doing this, and always love when people like drop the hint that they are one of the TFSR listeners. Like it's just always cool. So I'm sure some of you are still listening, and sometimes we forget that, and we just appreciate it. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, like I think in the beginning we were like, oh, are we gonna have like a billion listeners? And then it ended up being like 10 or 20, who knows what it is, maybe 10 or 20 or 30. Um, and it's still really cool. Like every time you send me one of those screenshots,
Yeah.
it's just like, fuck yeah.
Those are my favorite like piece of feedback on anything that I put out there. But yeah, and this just it felt like I think I really like disconnected from I'm doing a podcast in this one. Like I just feel like we literally had a conversation. Like
Yeah, that's
I
the
wasn't even
goal.
thinking about. Yeah, that is the goal, and I
Yeah,
think it'll be. I might even listen back to this one because I just want to be like, how much was I really just literally not even paying attention to the podcast? Which
I mean, in a
I
way,
think is the way to go. It's
this
the way
is
to
like
go.
a meditation too, because what comes up in this is what is it about me that I am insecure about, and like how do I position myself to the world or try to, and like even that is like as we can try and be more and more natural about this, it's like
Yeah,
it's not easy to just pretend that it's a conversation because we are aware that we're being recorded. And yeah, I think like
exactly.
it's like a meditation is like if we go into this too much, then we're just gonna like go crazy. I don't like we're so aware that we're being recorded, like, but at a certain point you just kind of have to like forget about it and just let it go and just be back in it. But
Yeah,
yeah, man, like I think that's why I think like this is really a cool exercise that we do, and like we get so much out of this regardless of, dude, honestly, like I'm kind of happy. Like it's so funny. Like I'm almost like happy that we don't have. I saw your tweet on Twitter about like how you like Twitter because you don't have that many followers, and like I kind of like this because we don't have that many followers. Like
yeah,
it's
right.
just or listener like there's something nice, man,
Yeah,
about
no,
like yeah
the audience is a trap. Like that's what I was saying in that
yeah
tweet. I was like, you know, you get an audience, then they have all these expectations from you, and they'll point out the one thing that you said that's wrong or whatever,
yeah
like the one Twitter follower or whatever. And yeah, that's how I've been feeling on Twitter. It's funny though, like then this friend of mine that kind of like puts out business content too. He like tweeted out like, oh, like looks like Matt is tweeting now. You should all go follow him. So now I have like almost 900 followers, and now it's like immediately it's gonna be like, oh shit, like who's reading this? And so, but yeah, you're right. It's like it's nice to keep some of these things small. The emails too. The emails, the podcast, Twitter. It's nice because you can just put things out without a filter. And even on YouTube, it's like you try to not have a filter. That's what I'm trying with my new stuff even
yeah
more than ever. But something about YouTube and these other platforms, we don't have to get all the way into it, but
yeah
something about it just
it's
makes you
it's more
act
corruptible
away.
because
Yeah.
I think like when we're releasing this podcast, like Apple is just gonna give it to whoever subscribes. Like we don't have to worry about how many of our subscribers are gonna see it.
Yeah.
So like whatever we put out will just get delivered. But with YouTube or with other things, like it's it's more closer to like if it's not good, then they're not gonna see it.
Yeah.
So we just have like more
For sure.
freedom and we have more ownership and yeah, man, it's yeah, um, podcasts are good because it's like directly to people.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah,
Definitely one of the best formats. But anyways, let's I think we sign off here.
yeah, sounds good.
Or did we already? I don't even know.
I don't think we did yet.
Is
I don't
okay.
remember signing off.
Okay.
So,
Then,
yeah.
thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah.
Next month, you heard it. We'll be back. But
All right.
yeah.
We'll do it. Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Peace.